Hello everyone, welcome to Online Seller UK podcast. My name is Prabhat. I'm founder at Online Seller UK, and we've been doing this podcast for nearly over a year now, talking about different topics around Amazon within the UK, Europe, and the US. So today I have got Ferry with me. Ferry is founder of a company called Instructive and co-founder of 24hourAR.com. They specialize on product compliance services such as CE and technical communications and acting as an authorized representative. Welcome to our podcast, Ferry.
Thank you, Prabhat. Thanks for having me in the show.
Excellent. So today we were going to talk about new import obligations for UK and EU manufacturers. So now, when I say the topic, it's very much alien to me, and I don't know too much about it. So I think, do you want to say a little bit more what it is and introduce us to the topic today?
Yeah, definitely. So I think the main thing we're discussing here will be the new regulation, the EU 29/1020 that will come into force as explain it from the consequences from different perspectives, I would say. But I think that the main thing that people will notice is that when this regulation comes into force, when, for example, companies from the UK will be selling products on the European market, UK is not part of Europe anymore, as in not part of the European Union, meaning that this regulation will require everyone selling products on the European market, for example, through platforms such as Amazon, eBay, Etsy, etc., that they have a so-called economic operator established within the European Union. Which means that if you, and then this economic operator, that can either be a manufacturer, but the manufacturer, it mostly is located within the European Union. So then we're talking about an importer. So when as a UK company, you don't have an importer established within the EU, then you have another option, and that's that you work with an authorized representative who is based in the EU. And the address, that's another regulation. It is actually quite an old requirement already, as it's regulated in the new legislative framework regulation already. Is that the address of the European economic operator needs to be on the product or on the packaging or in another accompanying document. Basically, it means so when you are selling products on Amazon from the UK or any other country outside the European Union, and those products arrive at customs and they don't see a European address on the packaging, then well, there's a risk of your products being destroyed, getting fined, or at least they're not allowed on the European market. Another thing that is quite special in this regulation, that it adds actually a fourth or a fifth economic operator to the list. So we have the manufacturers, we have the importers, the authorized representatives, distributors, all economic operators, but fulfillment service centers are added as an economic operator to this regulation, meaning that fulfillment service providers such as Amazon, eBay, etc., they automatically become, well, get certain tasks when there is no importer, when there is no authorized representative. So if you're selling products on the European market and there is no other imported named or authorized representative named on the product, then Amazon will be responsible for certain things, such as verifying that there is a declaration of conformity, verifying that there is a technical file available, providing market authorities that may inspect products with all kinds of information, etc. And that's, of course, absolutely something that Amazon does not want to do. So they're taking their responsibility right now. And what will happen as well when this regulation comes into force is that, well, platforms will block sellers that don't have the address of their economic operator mentioned on the product. On the other hand, the UK of course, left the EU on 31st of December last year. And although they did co-develop this new regulation, they decided not to implement it. But since all kinds of customs and import duties have been are under reinvestigated at this moment, they are establishing a new framework on how to deal with when products are imported on the UK market from outside the UK. And actually, they still stick to this new legislative framework, which is like a European thing. And this regulation already required to have an address on products. Have an address on products. So also in the UK now, these so to say, requirements to identify an economic operator on the product are in a new light again. And so basically the same requirement as in the EU will be the same requirement for the UK market.
Okay, right. I think that's a lot of information there, and I'm glad we're recording it somehow, because we can always go back and play it and see line by line what you've just said. So with regard to these changes, so when is it going to have an effect?
So the new regulation will come into force on July the 16th.
Right.
This year.
Okay. So if we were to talk with any non-EU or non-UK businesses, so now, what is the first few steps you think they should take to be prepared for further change?
For example, the reason that this regulation has been developed is to make sure that safe products are sold within the European Union or within the UK. And with with the internet, it's not always obvious who is the seller of a product. And I have those friends as well. They are like so-called digital nomads. They live all around the world. They buy products in China. They sell them through Amazon on the European market, on the UK market. But there's it's hard to identify, to get in touch with them if something is, if the product contains a risk. So that's a reason. So I think it's important to mention that at first. If those, to get back to your question, if those sellers, companies, businesses that sell products on the European market want to move forward and make sure that their products can still be sold, they have a few possibilities. So they can look for an importer established within the European Union who is officially importing the product. That importer will be responsible for certain things, will get certain tasks. Another thing that they can do is find an authorized representative, which is basically like an external company that will be responsible for those tasks, as in verifying that there is a technical file, which is mandatory for many products. So, for example, for the electronics, for toys, for medical devices, etc., etc. So these are the two things that companies that still want to have access to the European market, what they can do.
Okay, excellent. So So it looks like there's a lot to prepare. And if somebody's to start preparing, we're talking this is end of May now. So we've got, a month and a half technically to get prepared. So you mentioned before that Instructive as a company can act as a authorized representative, right?
Well, not really. So with Instructive, we primarily focus on creating compliant and user-friendly user manuals.
Sure.
And together with one of our compliance partners, we set up a joint venture called 24-hour AR. And with 24-hour AR, we act as an authorized representative. That is, we provide a service, meaning that we are responsible for certain tasks, such as checking the technical file and the declaration of conformity, and providing our European address, which is based in Sweden. It's a Swedish address because our compliance partner is a Swedish company. So yes, we provide those services, and that's actually the next step. So once a seller has, from outside the EU, has found an importer or authorized representative, the next step would be to put the address of this authorized representative on the product or on the packaging, or I think it's still allowed this year to provide it in a separate document.
Excellent. So with this month and a half, so talk me through, is there enough time for somebody to get started today, and is there enough time, month and a half, to get things sorted?
Yeah, definitely. So what they should act swiftly, I would say. But it's more or less, it's an administrative procedure to go through this. Of course, the seller needs to be sure that products comply. This has always been a requirement, of course. You can't sell any products on the European market when they don't comply with the requirements. But the first step would be to, provide an importer or authorized representative with the technical file and declaration of conformity if these are required. And so it will be enough time in order to keep on selling your product. And as the name indicates, won't talk too much about the service, but 24-hour means that we streamlined our process. So as soon as you upload your file, we will verify if everything is available, if there is a technical file, and if there is a declaration of conformity within 24 hours. We'll send the AR mandate, it's called. So it's actually the agreement. Okay, we are responsible for these tasks. And for this fee, we'll do that, and then you can use our address on your packaging or product. So it's still possible, of course, but to prevent that your product is not being allowed on the European market. So it's 6 months. You're right.
Yeah. So no,
weeks.
6 weeks. Yeah. So I think this came in the right time. So anybody's who is non-UK or non-EU companies, need to get things started.
But also UK. So UK companies selling on the European market need an authorized representative within the EU. Vice versa, European companies selling through Amazon.co.uk need an authorized representative within the UK.
Okay, excellent. So no, that's good. So thanks for spending time and talking us through this complicated topic, and I'm sure people who's listening to yourself and your advice will get a lot of details through this. So before we finish this conversation, Ferry, is there anything else you'd like to add?
What I like to add, that's a good one. So I think we've discussed most of the things. I think it's important to mention that that these fulfillment service providers are seen as economic operators, but also maybe that like postal services are seen as economic operators as well. So as soon as No, yeah. Also they have a responsibility. So when you don't sell through Amazon, for example, then still things can happen, or you still maybe stopped at customs. So there will be a large responsibility for customs, and I would say be prepared, because it will definitely it's a big game changer. This new regulation, it will affect a lot of sellers on several markets.
Yeah, I'm sure we are already seeing issues as a result of Brexit, for stock going into the EU being stopped and blocked and returned back and not being delivered and all that sort of thing. So it's getting much better now than the start, but still not everybody is able to find a way to have a product or have a presence in Amazon Europe. So yeah, that's, like you mentioned, it's important to get things sorted sooner than later. So okay, I think we are at the end. So thank you very much, Ferry, for spending your time and talking to us again. So if anybody is to get in touch with you, Ferry, yeah, tell us in your own words, where is the best place to get in touch with you?
24hour-ar.com.
Excellent.
Cheers.
Thanks a lot, Ferry.
All right, thank you, Prabhat. See you
Bye-bye.
soon. Bye bye.